Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is getting extremely close to a breakout from this bullish pattern, while the price is now running into critical short-term resistance and playing out a hidden bullish divergence. And on top of that, Ethereum is now breaking back inside this descending parallel channel. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so make sure to watch to the end. First of all, taking a quick look at some Bitcoin ETF news today, because over the last one day, just yesterday, Grayscale sent another approximately 6,200 Bitcoin worth around $270 million over towards Coinbase to dump on the market. But once again, as I've explained in recent videos here on the channel, if Grayscale is selling less than 10,000 Bitcoin each day, honestly, it's not too bad, because this amount right here, around 6,000 Bitcoin being dumped on the market, this can pretty easily be absorbed by buying pressure from other Bitcoin ETFs. For example, BlackRock alone, just over the last one day, bought around 3,800 Bitcoin to back their ETF, which means right now, BlackRock alone is holding around 70,000 Bitcoin worth around $3 billion, as we can see here on BlackRock's own website. And of course, this is just one of the 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs out there, obviously BlackRock being one, Grayscale being another ETF. And as of right now, Grayscale is still currently holding around 480,000 Bitcoin, still worth over $20 billion. So of course, they're still holding a lot of Bitcoin in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. But the outflows that we're seeing each weekday is simply not as much as what we were seeing a few weeks ago. So that reduced selling pressure is good news for Bitcoin. And once again, the biggest buyer in the market right now is indeed BlackRock. They are one of the fastest growing spot Bitcoin ETFs right now, adding a lot of new Bitcoin every single weekday to their spot Bitcoin ETF. And just to put things into perspective, once again, right now, BlackRock alone is accumulating around 4,000 Bitcoin each weekday. And keep in mind that right now, only around 900 Bitcoin is actually being mined per day and added to the Bitcoin supply. And after the Bitcoin halving just in April, only in a couple months from now, that will be reduced down to 450 Bitcoin being mined per day. And so obviously, if BlackRock keeps up this buying pressure, if they're accumulating around 4,000 Bitcoin each weekday, while there's only 450 Bitcoin being mined each day after the coming Bitcoin halving, then they're accumulating nearly 10 times the amount of Bitcoin that's actually being added to the supply each day, which means they're going to have to accumulate more and more Bitcoin that's already existing in the supply. And obviously, the supply of Bitcoin is strictly limited, which means they will eventually force the price higher as they're having to bid much higher prices to actually buy Bitcoin off Bitcoin holders. And so this is why I've been saying this entire time since the spot Bitcoin ETFs actually launched. I said that we could see short-term selling pressure due to outflows from Grayscale, at least initially. And we have already seen that since that 49K local high. Of course, we did pull back from that high due to a lot of selling pressure from Grayscale. But we're now at that turning point where there's not as much selling pressure coming out of Grayscale. Still some, but not as much. And a lot more Bitcoin starting to be bought up by BlackRock and other spot Bitcoin ETFs. And so with an increasing demand for Bitcoin, while less Bitcoin is going to come into the supply with the Bitcoin halving in just a few months, we are honestly setting up for a major Bitcoin bull market over the next 1 to 2 years or so, despite what's happening just in the shorter term. But anyway, getting into some Bitcoin charts today, looking at the daily Bitcoin chart, and at least as of right now, the bearish divergence on the daily time frame is not yet invalidated, but we're getting very close to seeing a breakout here in the daily Bitcoin RSI. And as I've mentioned recently on the channel, if we see a breakout in the daily Bitcoin RSI above this descending line of resistance, which is very close to happening, that can help to invalidate this bearish divergence. So basically what that means is if we see this breakout in the RSI, then we could end up seeing more bullish momentum begin building up here for the price of Bitcoin if this bearish divergence is no longer playing out. And especially if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin MACD, as of right now, this is technically looking more bullish than bearish, as we've recently seen a bullish cross close to a week ago and not yet crossed back in the bearish direction. And staying on the daily Bitcoin chart, taking a look at the DXY, which is now experiencing a short-term drop, which is very interesting because obviously over the last 1 week, we've seen mostly sideways price action in the DXY with a very slight move to the upside just yesterday. But we're now seeing a bit of a short-term pullback, which is good news for Bitcoin, especially if this continues, because as you can clearly see on this chart right here, when the DXY is bearish, when the DXY is going to the downside, that is almost always bullish for the price of Bitcoin and crypto. And so once again, I'll be keeping a close eye on this DXY. I'll keep you updated every day here on the channel. So if we continue to see a further drop in the DXY, once again, that could lead to a further recovery in the price of Bitcoin. And so definitely make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos each and every day. But anyway, taking a quick look at the 6-hour Bitcoin chart, and obviously a few days ago, as we can see here, the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI entered into overbought territories, as I mentioned recently on the channel. And so just in the immediate short term here, that was a bit of a short-term warning signal or bearish signal for Bitcoin, and we have already seen a slight pullback since then to help reset the RSI. And so as of right now, the RSI is sitting at neutral levels, which technically means we now have more room to the upside. And the bearish scenario would obviously be if we have this room to the upside, but we do not utilize that room to the upside. For example, if we see a slight move slightly higher than these previous highs in the price, but if we don't end up going a lot higher in the price, then obviously the RSI could end up forming a lower high. And if we have higher highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI, then obviously that would be a bearish divergence. But at this point in time, once again, the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI has reset back towards neutral levels, which technically means we now have more room to the upside. And if we're taking a quick look at the 2-hour Bitcoin chart, we can see that right now the price of Bitcoin is running into this critical area of resistance, which is sitting in between around 43.3K to around 43.7K based on the local highs here and the highs back here. And obviously, this is now happening just after a pretty much perfect bounce from this exact area of support that I've been talking about for a while now on the channel. And so once again, that area of support is still sitting in between around 41.7K to 42.2K. And in case you're new to this, basically the areas of support is where the price is most likely going to bounce at, and the areas of resistance is where the price is most likely going to reject from. And so ultimately, if we end up breaking one of those levels, that is where we could flip much more bullish or much more bearish. Obviously, if we break below that support, that would be a bearish signal. If we break above that resistance, that would obviously be a bullish signal. And just over the last few days, we have seen a short-term bearish divergence play out here between the price and the RSI. But right now, we are currently seeing a new hidden bullish divergence now playing out. And now a regular bullish divergence would be lower lows in the price and higher lows in the RSI, like we saw back here. But a hidden bullish divergence is higher lows in the price and lower lows in the RSI. So it's still a form of bullish divergence, but usually these hidden bullish divergences are not as strong as regular bullish divergences. And oftentimes these hidden bullish divergences can actually result in a trend continuation, a bullish trend continuation. Because here in the smaller time frames, just in the short term on the 2-hour charts, once again, we're technically within a short-term bullish trend forming higher lows and higher highs. And so this is basically signaling the continuation of that bullish trend. Once again, the only obstacle standing between us and that bullish trend continuing is this final area of resistance. And also, now that we've seen that rejection from that resistance and a bounce from this area of support and returns back up towards this resistance, this has now completed the formation phase for this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern here on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart. But even though this pattern has basically completed forming, it is not yet confirmed, because in order to confirm this pattern and set up the bullish price target, we need to first see a confirmed breakout above this resistance level, above the neckline, which is sitting once again at around 43.6K, give or take. And so we need to see a confirmed breakout above that level with candle closes above 43.6K to 43.7K. And if we end up seeing that playing out, then of course that would set up a bullish price target for this inverse head and shoulders pattern. And that price target, based on a confirmed breakout, would be sitting at around 48.8K. And so from the point of the breakout to that price target, that's roughly around a 12% move to the upside in the price of Bitcoin. But also keep in mind, we do have some levels of resistance between the breakout and that price target. For example, these previous highs back here, based on the candle closes, sitting at around 47,000, should be acting as resistance. And remember that bullish price target and this bullish pattern only come into play, only activate once we first see a confirmed breakout above this resistance, which obviously as of right now has not yet happened. And so as I've been saying, since all the way back around here, at least in the short term, I'm actually relatively neutral on the price of Bitcoin, expecting some choppy sideways price action. And so far, this has been playing out exactly as expected. And so basically, the moment we either see a confirmed break below this support or above this resistance, that is where we can flip much more bullish or much more bearish and set up the next major price target. And of course, it doesn't matter whether we're breaking bullish or bearish because we can use long positions to the upside or short positions to the downside to make profit in either scenario. And if you're wondering where I take those trades on the price of Bitcoin and any other crypto, personally, I take those trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comments. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account, if you deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I will also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link and deposit $100 worth of crypto or more and make one trade over on Bitflex, then you can get 10 USDT completely for free, along with other new deposit bonuses. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trade, you might as well get set up ready to go on one of those exchanges using those links down below this video if you want to get those extra bonuses. And so now I've covered the short-term bullish scenario. If we break out above that resistance, once again, we have that inverse head and shoulders pattern. But in the immediate short term, of course, it's still a possibility we could end up seeing another rejection from that resistance. And so that's why I'm still very neutral in the short term until we either break out above this resistance or break below this support. And now if we do end up seeing a confirmed break below this area of support, so below around 41.6K to 41.7K, then in that case, looking at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, first of all, we have some short-term liquidity to the downside, sitting in between around 41.6K to 41.8K. And so, of course, that liquidity is still sitting at around this area of support. So it's possible we could return to that area of support and see another bounce just to fill that liquidity. And of course, we also have a level of liquidity right here to the upside sitting at around 43.8K. So it's also possible we could grab that short-term liquidity with a quick spike to the upside. But once again, if we actually break below that area of support that I just mentioned earlier, then looking at some liquidity further to the downside, that would be sitting closer towards around 39.8K approximately. Because first of all, we have a lot of liquidity at around 39.7 to 39.8K, and we have some more liquidity down towards around 39.4 to 39.5K. And so basically, if we first see a confirmed break back below this area of support, then in that case, I'd be targeting the high $39,000 area. But remember, I would only be targeting around 39 to 40,000 if we first break below this support. But until then, we're looking relatively neutral while the price is still in this sideways price range. And remember, if we see a confirmed breakout above this resistance, that is when we can flip much more bullish again in the short term with this price target and inverse head and shoulders pattern playing out to the upside. And so it's very likely that the next trading opportunity will come very soon the moment we break either above this resistance or below this support. So once again, it's worth setting up ready to go on one of those exchanges using those links down below this video if you want to be ready to take that next trade. But anyway, taking a quick look at the price of ETH on the daily time frame, and technically speaking, the bearish divergence on the daily ETH to US dollar chart is still currently active. But if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum MACD, this is continuing to decline in bearish momentum, heading towards a bullish cross. And so this means, at least in the imminent short term right now, we don't really have a lot of momentum to either direction, because once again, almost every day over the last 1 week, the bearish momentum in the MACD has been becoming less and less. But we have not yet confirmed a bullish cross in the MACD, and we have not yet invalidated the bearish divergence. And so due to that, I would not really be expecting a significant high momentum move really to either direction, at least for now on the daily time frame, which is why we're seeing these more gentle or mild moves up and down. And if we're zooming into the short term, looking at the 4-hour ETH to US dollar chart, just recently we've seen a break back inside this descending parallel channel that we were previously in for the price of ETH. And so far, the price has been respecting this parallel channel very well, with perfect rejections and bounces from these lines of support and resistance. First of all, this line of resistance right here is currently sitting at around 2350, and this line of support right here is currently sitting at around 2230. And similar to Bitcoin on smaller timeframes, here in the price of ETH, we also have a new hidden bullish divergence now playing out, with higher lows confirmed in the price in the 4-hour candle closes and lower lows confirmed here in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. And so once again, this is a relatively weak bullish divergence, not as strong as a regular bullish divergence, but it's still resulting in a slight bullish relief, at least in the short term. And now if we see a breakout above 2350, then the next short-term resistance would be sitting at around this local high at around 2390. And above that, we could potentially flip much more bullish again and expect moves up towards some of these much higher levels. For example, around 2.5K. And of course, over the last few days or so, we have seen a reset in the price, reset in the RSI, which is now giving us more room to the upside here in the RSI, which obviously means we're no longer overbought. But at least as of right now, as I said on the daily time frame, we're lacking momentum to either direction, which is why we're not really seeing a massive strong trend to either direction. And instead, we're basically just chopping around sideways, not doing anything too crazy. But believe it or not, you can make a lot of easy profits in choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame. And right now, we are seeing a bit of a recovery in the immediate short term in the price of Solana after this small reset in the price and the RSI. And so once again, just like I said for Bitcoin and ETH, with the RSI reset out of those overbought territories, this technically now gives us some more room to the upside. And as for support and resistance levels to watch out for, obviously we've just seen pretty much a perfect bounce from this level of support, which is sitting at around $92. And as for resistance, we do have some resistance at around $105 to $106. And we could also find a bit of short-term resistance at around $108. Above that, we also have more resistance at around $116 and more resistance closer towards $124 to $125. And similar to Bitcoin, the price of Solana is also potentially forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern with a left shoulder and a head already completely formed. And right now we are potentially around in the middle of the right shoulder being formed. And so what we need to see now to complete that inverse head and shoulders pattern is, of course, a continued bounce to the upside in the price of Solana and then a breakout above this neckline, which is sitting at around $106. And so if we end up seeing that happening, if we now confirm a breakout with candle closes back above $106, then of course that will set up a bullish price target to the upside. And if we're taking a look at that bullish price target for that inverse head and shoulders pattern, once again, if we first confirm a breakout above $106, that will set up a price target at around $133. And so from the point of the breakout to that price target, we're talking around a 25 to 26% move to the upside. And of course, that percentage move is with no leverage. For example, if you took just a 5x leverage trade, that trade could potentially double your money if we first confirm a breakout and actually complete this pattern. But once again, at least as of right now, we have not yet confirmed the price target and not yet confirmed the pattern because we have not yet seen a confirmed breakout above this neckline, above this resistance. But if you want to know how you can trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or easily profit from choppy sideways price action, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can open long positions and short positions to make money if the price is bullish or bearish. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.